to Medically Speaking. I'm Sarvesen, your host for this episode. Today we have two interesting guests joining us in our studio today, Mr. Rakesh and Miss Lilian. Rakesh, would you want to give a short intro of what is it that you do and what is it that you like?
Sure. So, hi everyone, I'm Rakesh. I am a first year medical student at IMU, and I'm also the Secretary of Medically Speaking. So, it's fun to finally join in an episode. Lilian?
Hi everyone, I'm Lilian. So I'm also a first year medical student just like Rakesh. We are in ME223 batch at IMU. And I am actually also head of PR at Medically Speaking, and I'm so excited to finally be on an episode.
It's a pleasure to have you both, but today's episode is going to be about questions with medical school newbies. So do you guys have any ideas why you were both chosen for this episode?
Well, because we're newbies.
Yeah, newbie.
Sort of. You're still in your semester 2, so you have an idea of how medical school has been like for at least 6 months. And I think that qualifies you both as newbies for this episode. So let's not waste any more time and jump straight into the list of questions we have today. Okay, first off, what inspired you both to pursue a career in medicine? Lilian, let's start with you.
Okay, sure. So for me, I didn't always want to do medicine. So I'm actually a bit older. I'm 23 currently. And when I was 18, I also applied to study for medicine. Back at the time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do such a heavy subject because I think it's a really big commitment to study medicine at the time. So I did do an undergraduate degree. I spent some time really thinking about whether or not I wanted to do medicine. And then I did a few months as an intern at a hospital. And I thought that the lifestyle was definitely something that I wanted to do. And that's when I decided that was something I wanted to study.
Are you sure it's the lifestyle you wanted to do? On calls and 24-hour shifts? Okay, great choice. Rakesh?
Mine is kind of the opposite. So I've never thought about anything else except for medicine since I was young. So by the time I was 17, I was for sure that I wanted to go into medicine. And I wanted to, even though it's relatively hard course, I wanted to do it so that I could really, really help people and truly make a change in the whole industry.
Is someone paying you to say that, Rakesh? Okay. Next question. Was there a specific event or person that influenced your decision to go to medical school? And parent coercion does not count. Rakesh.
Okay, sure. So, are you guys aware of the TV show called Grey's Anatomy?
No.
Bye. Seriously.
I'm not joking. Sadly, there was a specific character. What was her name? Christina Yang.
Oh my god, okay.
She was a cardiothoracic god. So I hope that when I grow older and I specialize, that I also become a cardio god.
I hope you know what cardiothoracic surgeons do in Malaysia.
Oh, well, we are PMS students, so we wouldn't really be practicing in Malaysia.
Show off. Okay, Lilian.
Have you guys heard of this TV show called House?
Okay, House.
No, I'm joking. House commits medical malpractice all day. So no, that was not he didn't influence me to go to med school. But like I said earlier, when I was doing a short internship at a hospital, I met a lot of wonderful doctors there. And, I've always had this idea that doctors can be quite strict and quite mean to students as well, but they were so wonderful and they taught me lots, and that kind of really solidified my decision as well.
That's so sweet. I wish I had doctors like that in KK. Okay. Okay, KK doctors are nice guys. I'm not meaning anything here. All right.
Are you sure?
Okay, next question. What do you guys hope to achieve during your time in medical school? Lilian?
During my time at medical school, maybe this is like a cliche answer as well, but I really hope to kind of get a comprehensive understanding of everything we're learning, and then also really get to learn the skills that will be applicable during our time as a doctor. And then also I would like to really work on myself and my relationships with other people, because I feel like that is quite important as well when you're going into a career such as healthcare.
Rakesh?
I really think during this time, even though medicine is like a whole, it's going to take your entire lifetime to really study medicine. So even though this is a whole lifetime, I feel like this 2.5 years, especially pre-clinicals, it's really a time for you to pay attention, really build that foundation so you can build on it in the future. It makes things easier. So this is probably, I would say, quite a hardworking time. It's not time to back down, so...
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. I mean, we had this exact same talk in the previous episode, so if you haven't checked out episode 3, go check out Welcome to Clinicals. Okay, back to story. So, which subject is the most challenging for you during your course in medical school? Rakesh, do you have a special answer?
In fact, I do. I cannot for the life of me remember anything to do with histology. Maybe a little bit of pharmacokinetics, which in layman terms is drugs. But other than that, I feel like histology is a real banger. I cannot understand or memorize them. I have to spend so much time trying to just look at the slides because they're all the same color. They all look the same, and you're expected to know where it is, where it comes from, what it does, what it shows you. I find it so hard. My brain would be writhing in pain.
It all looks the same because it's all stained with eosin.
It's all pink and purple, guys.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you there. I don't remember most of it too. I think the only time I look at it is before exams, so I think it's like stored in a short-term memory. So Lilian, what's the most difficult subject for you?
For me, it would have to be microbiome. So also in layman's terms, it would be things like bacteria and viruses. I think there's just so many, and then they're all like in different categories. I don't know if this one ferments lactose or not. It's all stuff that I also memorize only before I go into exams. Yeah.
Fair enough. I think the only time I think of microbiome as something valuable is how it can wreck our entire system, being so minute, That's so scary. Alright, next question. Have you had any moments where you doubted your decision to become a doctor? Lilian, do you have a moment like that? A vulnerable moment, maybe?
So when I decided to be a doctor, or when I decided to study medicine, I was dead set on that decision. But of course, there will be moments where I have like these intrusive thoughts, right? So like before I have like an exam and I'm seriously wrecked with anxiety, I'll be like, oh, maybe I should just drop out, or maybe I shouldn't have, studied medicine. At the end of the day, like, I think everything works out, and this is like the subject this is really the only subject that I've enjoyed to this extent, so I'm probably not going to drop out. Fingers crossed.
Rakesh?
I feel like my answer there is practically the same, because it's only the times where you're like really stressed that you're like, maybe I should just, do something else with my life. But like, it's the initial thought that counts. So I really wanted to save lives. I really wanted to help people. And that's a constant inspiration. So as long as you're hardworking, especially in med school, because everyone in med school is smart. That goes without saying. It's a difference in how hardworking you are compared to other people, because you have to have the ability to study when you don't feel like it, and study when you really don't want to. You want to go to sleep, you have to study. So I feel like that's what changes.
So you mentioned something interesting there, that everyone in medical school are smart. I would like to disagree with you there, because if you want to survive med school, you don't have to be like super smart, child genius, prodigy kind of thing. But there's definitely perseverance and resilience needed to actually get through not only the school but to also survive in this field. I think that's a necessity anywhere, to be honest. So next time, it's a common myth debunked, guys. They're not smart, they're just hardworking.
Yeah.
That I agree with. I know a lot of people who aren't necessarily geniuses, but they are very hardworking. And I also know people who are very smart, but they don't seem to put in as much effort as others in medical school.
I asked you guys, was there a vulnerable moment where you guys reconsidered your decision to actually enter medical school? Whenever I have those thoughts, I would be like, why am I trying to save people's lives? Why not let nature take its course and, survival of the fittest, right? Why should I add into the growing older age population? But then I think to myself, no, Sarvesen, you're here to actually help people. So yeah, I think that's my moment. But do you guys remember your first day in medical school?
I mean, definitely, for sure. It was really hectic, I would say. It was a little all over the place because, we're all new to the campus, and some of us already know the campus coming in from FIS, which is Foundation in Science. So it was a little bit of a mix here and there. So everyone was running everywhere, we didn't really know where to go, etc. So for me, it was hectic. How about you, Lilian?
For me also. So it wasn't only just my first day in medical school. It was sort of my first time in a whole new country also. I had no friends, I wasn't sure where to go. And I do remember our very first lecture, Rakesh. So it was about basic tissues. And I do remember we had a substitute teacher for that lecture on the very first day. And I think she thought we were semester 3 students. So she breezed through everything. And everyone was so in shock because we had never heard any of the terms she was discussing before. And yeah, it was quite, I was quite taken aback.
It was very eye-opening. I got really scared after that first ever lecture we had.
Wow, okay, scary stuff, guys. So, how do you feel about the prospect of working with real life patients? I know you have, for now you've only seen the simulated patients who have been scripted and act like, great patients, but things aren't the way it is now. So, how do you feel about the prospect?
So for me, we actually just recently learned how to perform venipuncture, so taking blood from a patient, and we did practice that on the model dummies that were in our clinical skills department. And I was thinking about it. I was watching videos of doctors performing it on real patients, and I was thinking, well, I'm so scared, but I'm so excited. I feel like actually performing on patients might be easier than performing on dummies, but there's always that risk, and I think that's quite scary.
Rakesh?
Yeah, I have to agree. As well as every time we have a simulated patient, we always practice our history taking and whatnot. And even though it's simulated, it's trying to get to the point where it's real. It's not 100% there. So even when we do go to see real patients, even though I'm really excited, it's not. It's going to be a little bit more. We need to adapt to it, I guess, because some patients will be not willing to share information to you. Some patients would be a little questionable of you. It's a mix of different personalities that you have to adapt to, that you have to talk about. So
I quite agree with you there, Patients sometimes might hide information or conveniently forget about information, because we had this experience where we interviewed a patient. She came in with this allergic reaction. Her face was all puffed up, and we had asked everything we could possibly ask, her medication and new supplements that she's taking and whatnot. But then when she went into the consultation room, she was like, "Oh, I think I'm taking this liver supplements, but I think that might have been causing this." I don't think she revealed that information at all. We asked her 100 times. But yeah, things happen, guys. Okay, next question. So, what kind of doctor do you want to be known as?
Okay, I'll go ahead. So, I'm gonna refer back to Grey's Anatomy, sadly. So I really do want to be known as a cardio god. I really do want to focus all of my intention into cardiothoracics, and I really want to do surgery really, really badly. So I want to be known as the same thing as the character in Grey's Anatomy. So I really want to be named thoroughly as cardio god. But we'll see what happens.
Okay. If everyone's gonna be Christina Yang, who's gonna be McSteamy and McDreamy, guys? Lilian.
I can be McDreamy. No, I'm joking. So, unlike Rakesh, I haven't decided what specialty that I really wanted to do yet. But I have seen a lot of patients, whether they're my friends, my family, or people in clinic, and I've seen people with illnesses, and I think as a doctor, my biggest motivation would to be making their lives a little bit easier, a little bit more comfortable. Yeah, so as a doctor, I think that would be my main goal.
A follow-up question to that. So what do you think is the most important quality for a doctor to have?
For me, I think it depends on the specialty also. So there's obviously that umbrella of things like good communication, teamwork, intelligence, things like that. But I think for me, it depends on the specialty in the sense that, say, for a radiologist, I think the most important quality is to have a keen eye for things. For, say, a GP, it would be good communication. For surgeons, it would be teamwork. But yeah, I think it does depend also on the specialty.
I mean, I definitely agree with that. But at the same time, I feel like a doctor should also be in the sense of a jack of all trades. So you have to know how to be empathetic at certain situations. You need to know how to be confident and make a call in certain decisions. You need to know how to really work with your team sometimes. So I feel like it's dependent on the situation too.
Yeah, that I agree with.
Okay. For me, I believe it's professionalism.
Yes, absolutely.
We had a long talk about this too on the episode 3. Go listen to it if you haven't yet.
Plug it again.
But yeah, professionalism. But great things you mentioned there. Teamwork and actually listening to each other and working together. That's really a great quality one must have. So, what impact do you hope to have on your patients and community in future? Lilian?
I think my answer would be quite similar to what I've said before. So it's to make my patients' lives a little bit easier, a little bit more comfortable, to improve their quality of life, and to improve the quality of life of the community as a whole as well.
Rakesh?
Recently, I don't know throughout the world, but in this country at least, some doctors are fantastic, they're amazing, but other doctors can be very hard to talk to, very strict to the point where it's not even like they're asking you questions, it's like they're interrogating you for information, and it doesn't feel safe. So that's what I want to kind of give to the community. I want to make sure that they feel safe in the first place, approaching me to get help, if that makes sense.
That very much makes sense. I remember going to a doctor, and the first thing he asked was, "What's your problem?" I said, "I have this sore throat and whatnot." And he was like, "How long have you been having this?" And that's the only two questions he asked. He gave me a diagnosis and prescribed me medicine. Okay. Moving on from doctors who don't want to ask questions but interrogate. Do you have any medical school survival tips or hacks that you've learned?
Definitely keep track of what you're doing and make sure that you're always caught up. Try not to leave things last minute, because that isn't possible in my point of view with the amount of information you're given every single day. But I would say, I can only speak in the perspective of preclinicals right now, so I would say that the heavy amount of information, new info that's coming to us, I feel like we need to catch up. We need to make sure we're on that point where we're on par with everyone, in the sense that we generally know what we're learning about, not that we're clueless and we don't know where to go, what to do. How about you, Lilian?
Words from a famous senior who once told me that there are 3 S's in medical school. So your studies, your sleep, and your social relationships. So you can really only pick 2, because one of them you're going to have to sacrifice. So I guess for me, it's to know your priorities, to really know what to focus on, and know that if you are really going to study to become a doctor, there are things that you gotta sacrifice. Yeah.
I've heard this famous quote as well when I entered semester 1, but I'm gonna quote someone even more interesting. Wait, let me just... Oh, it's a Pink song? We could have had it all. Okay, I think this will be our final question. So, personally, what qualities do you think are your strengths in becoming a doctor? It's an interesting question. Take your time, think about it, and probably show off your skills. This is your time, guys.
Sell yourself out, Lilian.
I think qualities to becoming a good doctor, some are things that you actually get throughout your time in medical school. So learning how to diagnose and all things like that. It's not something we really have yet because we're still a first year. But for me, something that I'm quite proud of in myself is like emotional intelligence. So I wasn't always able to read the room, say the right things, but I think over time and also with age as well, that's something that I've really learned to do. Really communicate with other people, try to put myself in their shoes, have that sort of empathy that is required to be in healthcare. What about you, Rakesh?
Well, for me personally, I don't know whether it's 100% true, but whenever I do practice with simulated patients with doctors in the room to give comments after and etc., they always say that I change personalities according to which person I talk to, which I guess in some cases that's kind of bad because it gives a sense that I'm two-faced, but it isn't the case. It's the fact that I change how I talk to the person depending on who the person is. So my adaptability, in a sense, is relatively good in communication. And empathetically, I always got the comment that I was too empathetic. And that was a problem, apparently. I always kept asking that every 2-3 minutes, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And why? I'm not sure, but yeah, I need to kind of focus on being a little less empathetic, actually.
I guess being empathetic and being an enabler, you have to find a balance between that two. Because when you're too pushy and like too empathetic, you'll be like, the patient will be having a mental breakdown, which is not related to your thing. So
True.
we wouldn't want that. Okay. I mean, it's been a fun thing, was it? I lost count of the question. But yeah, it was fun talking with you guys, and I hope this has been valuable to those who are listening. And if you want to listen more, or do you have any interesting topics that you want us to talk about, do comment down and do reach out to us. We're more than happy to receive a suggestion from you. Until then, thank you all for listening. And Rakesh, Lilian, any final words?
Thank you for Sarvesen for hosting this episode. It was so fun to be part of it. What about you, Rakesh?
The same thing. Thank you so much for inviting us on this. I loved this experience. I hope that we could join in future episodes too, if you guys would want us to be in future episodes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. And if you want to know if Rakesh and Lilian get hosted by me again in future, stay tuned and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.